We're Bat Minute 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute 89, the podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and forlornly mourn Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I'm that other guy, John Parker.
And it's actually, I think it's a first on the Bat Minute podcast, because we've actually got a guest today who had his own minute-by-minute podcast and is currently working on, I think, 2 ones that are coming out. So please welcome from Spinal Tap Minute, Sean German.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Woo! We've got a big guest.
Yeah. It's like, it's weird for me because it was like, it's kind of like, it's like getting over withdrawal because I've listened to Spinal Tap Minute for like months. And every day I'd hear Sean German, and then all of a sudden there was no Sean German, and I was like, now he's back. It's like,
Sean, could you record daily messages for Niall just to keep him happy for me, please?
Oh, sure. Do you have a voicemail or answering machine? I can just call in with a daily affirmation.
Yeah.
For Niall.
But today, anyway, with Sean's joined us for minute 46. Minute 46 begins again in Crime Alley, where Bruce Wayne's still mourning his parents, and it ends with Vicki Vale approaching City Hall. So, and some stuff happens in between. So,
Yeah, well, it's more interesting than it sounds, to be honest.
But there was a thing, like, because we went a bit long yesterday, but I suppose I'll throw this in now at the start. So we're in Crime Alley, or what passes for Crime Alley in the Tim Burton verse, where it seems to be more crime underneath the train tracks or whatever.
Yeah, very much not an alley.
Yeah. But in just for, like, canonical, or the stuff that happens in Batman lore, because Crime Alley does appear. Obviously, it's where the Waynes were murdered, but then it's also the location where Batman first met Jason Todd when he was attempting to steal tires from the Batmobile.
It was fate.
Yeah, and it's where Leslie Tompkins, who's a big character in the comics, who's never appeared in any of the live action films, but I think she's played by Inara from Firefly on Gotham. But it's like,
Oh, okay. I stopped watching Gotham quite early on. I didn't realize she was in it.
yeah, well, I don't watch it either, but I know that she does that part because it was a thing of, like, I guess because it's set so many years in the past, where, like, Leslie Tompkins is usually portrayed as quite an elderly woman, and then they've cast this, like, really hot young 30-something-year-old actress. It's like, well, that's a bit but then again, yeah, it's supposed to set like 10-20 years before Batman.
Yeah, I was going to say, hang on a minute. The time frame works out, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's all right. It's all right. But
We'll let them on.
Yeah, and then it's in it's also where Batman fights Superman in the Dark Knight Returns, or where the fight begins, at least, anyway. But and that's just another few little tidbits about Crime Alley there. So now we can get back into the, because there is other stuff in the parks. It debuted in Detective Comics 33 in the fantastically titled "The Batman Wars Against the Dirigible of Doom."
Whoa!
Yeah,
That just rolls off the tongue there.
it's like back then they just did not care about having things be snappy at all. It was just.
I hope the next Batman movie, that's the title.
Or it has to describe the entire plot line of the film. It's just like, the Batman wages war in some criminal who's trying to take over Gotham, and then just...
Or it could be like those old trailers where they give you 90% of the plot, and it's like, he is a vigilante who dresses as a bat. It just goes through his entire history in the trailer.
The thing is, like old trailers, modern trailers, has perpetually just been told, like, oh, I get that. Don't need to watch the film now. I got it all. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna just jump back into the actual action in a minute, because we get, like, Bruce then he's chucked the roses down, and we got a dramatic blast of music from Danny Elfman as he sort of stands and looks like he's really contemplating things. He's thinking things over, and then he wanders off, and Vicki Vale wanders in behind him, and then picks up the roses. I don't know why she picks them up. It's like, well, what's that?
Yeah, I was wondering this. That seems very rude.
Yeah.
Because, he's obviously got some kind of emotional connection to this, and she's just gone and disturbed him.
Yeah. I think that Vicki doesn't mind whose toes she steps on, basically. She's just, 'cause, like, everything she's doing here is, we've been theorizing, is, quite illegal, because she's just stalking a private citizen. Like, she's no...
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, he's rich. I guess I have the right to follow him because I slept with him. So that's...
Plus, she's, with the paparazzi, you can do what you want. You can follow celebrities. You can chase princesses into tunnels in France.
Yep.
Too soon.
Well, the anniversary of that or something, because I keep seeing a lot of Die stuff pop up. But I'm
Yes, it is. As of recording, yes, it is. But, I mean, Vicki should know better than to do that. But she can't really see the look on his face, I suppose, because we see that. And he looks very sad, but he's also... He's a very manly man. He takes the moment in for a second or two, and then he's off. Yeah. That's it. That's enough of that. He's like the kind of man who would hug you and do the old pat on the back as he does it, because he can't hold you for too long. That's not masculine.
Yes. It's a stiff upper lip and all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I wonder about these roses. Are these from the Wayne Manor garden, or did he stop on the way? Because Vicky's been following him. Yeah. Did she see him stop at a florist on the way over, and he bought these 2 roses?
You wonder if it's like how cheap were they? It's like Bruce is like, I'm not splashing out for the good roses,
He got them at the gas station.
They came out and he had a couple of magazines under his arm, and then these roses in the back.
I definitely think he brought them with him. So whether or not they're from the garden or he had pre-purchased them, I think he brought them, because you'd have to see that shot of him going to the store and buying them, I think, because it would add to Vicky's suspicions. Because I'm under the assumption that she thinks he's got a wife and kids or something. So that would add to that. Like, you see him go and buy some flowers, and she's like, "What? Who's he buying flowers for?"
Yeah, exactly. And then he's buying flowers for this hotel on Crime Alley, apparently.
Oh yeah,
in memory of this hotel that's now deserted.
That's just the idea, though, of any scene of a guy going into a flower shop is not now automatically just cuts to Tommy Wiseau coming in, just like, oh, hello, oh, hi, everybody, oh, hello, Johnny, you're my favorite customer. Hi, doggy, goodbye.
Oh, hi, Batman.
That would have been amazing, though, if that was just the scene. And then they actually Tim Burton was sitting looking at it going, there's something quite off about this. We should just cut this out altogether. I like the idea as well of it was like, those are Alfred's roses that Alfred tends the garden as well. And when Bruce gets back, he's like, Master Wayne, I noticed that 2 roses were missing from my rose bush. You wouldn't know anything about this, would you?
Oh, no, poor Alfred.
It's those damn neighborhood kids again. That's what all the kids are doing these days, stealing flowers.
It's the same kids who keep leaving all those things lying around the house that you have to pick up after the or after them, sorry. I don't know.
After them, yeah.
They just throw my clothes everywhere.
I do wonder, though, if this, because we know now, because we've seen, like, the Wayne murders, and we know the story of Batman, like, like the general public knows it like the back of their hands, because it's in, since Batman Begins, it's been thrown at you, and even through this one, you get a very memorable flashback and whatnot. But I'm wondering if, for lack of a better word, if, like, the normies going to see this in '89 who just knew, oh, Batman's, the 60s show, and he's a comic book character, but yeah, this looks pretty good. Did they know that, like, when they're coming in, it's like, why is he leaving these roses here? Because I don't think in the 60s show they ever touched on the Wayne murders. I think it was too grim a subject matter for them to delve into. So
I don't recall them bringing
I can't imagine there was ever an episode. Look, maybe they did mention my parents were murdered or something. But it seemed, I can't imagine Adam West even saying murdered. Like, it seems like that would be too severe for the show. So I'm wondering, like, if this could have been, like, if you didn't know the comics and you just were coming in from the TV show, you're like, what is this guy? What's he doing? What's going on here? Like, then when you actually do see the murder at the end, you're like, oh my God, so that's why he does what he does and stuff. But
yeah, I think it's definitely made with that assumption in mind that you don't know.
Yeah. Whereas, like, now it's very much like, people are just perpetually asking why they even show the murder. Like it's just. So I think the whole thing with Batman versus Superman is it starts with the Wayne murder. It's like, oh my God, we know. Come on, just get on with it. and then
it's the same with the new Spider. Well, not the brand new Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield ones. We got to see this again.
They do rectify that. And the new one is just like Uncle Ben. Yeah, I don't think they even say Uncle Ben, but they do allude to like it's like all the trouble we've been having recently. I think that's as close as they get to going like your Uncle Ben was murdered, Peter, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like, this if you were unfamiliar with it though, this would be like quite tantalizing. It's like, oh, what's this? This Bruce Wayne just likes going and like memorizing shut down hotels and stuff. It's like he's.
Maybe he's one of those people who likes to break into abandoned buildings and take photographs and stuff like Gaz, who has been a guest of the show. He likes to go around old buildings, doesn't he? Maybe that's him. He's leaving those flowers. He's like, you were a good hotel.
And I've been trying here too, like, see like, the last bit of Vicki picking up the rose. And I was trying to work in some kind of joke about like, was she comparing him to a kiss from a rose or something? It's like I couldn't find it. Like, it's there somewhere, but I can't quite reach the joke. So
maybe this scene gave them the idea for that song in the first place.
It could be. It's like that's the one thing Seal ever remembered about Batman. It's like, yeah, it's that really weird scene where he leaves those roses.
It's my favorite bit.
But so then though we cut to outside the old courthouse. We get Bruce approaching it, and there's a hustle and bustle of reporters. And then we see kind of holding court is Knox. And
I was very impressed with this from Knox because he's actually doing some proper reporting on something that isn't Batman for once. Like he's not a one-trick pony.
Like, remember that we always thought that like Knox was supposed to be a bit of a loser because of the way they have like they're all mocking him in the press room and like, oh, they buried your story in the Batman, Knox, and all this kind of stuff. And then we found out he actually got the front page as well. So I was like, well, what's that about? And but this is like he's like king of the reporters. He's up higher than the rest of them. They all kind of look like they're listening to him. They're all kind of pounding about with Knox, and it's like, and he's doing this. I was like, oh, I can't wait to hear what excuse they've got for this one. And it's like. Again, like the story is just like, oh, it's Grissom's leaving. He's something about an affidavit that's signing over all his businesses to Vinny Ricorso. Like the guy comes out, but like, why is he so sort of like, I can't wait to hear what the excuse they got for this one. It's like, it doesn't sound like it's all that big a story, Knox, but whatever, I guess if it's just like, oh yeah, Grissom's a known gangster, that might be like, oh yeah, but it's just like it could be just a simple legal transaction. Like, why is he so into it? Like,
well, he knows when something like that happens with these kind of people, it's never quite above board, is it? But do you think are these guys trying their luck and just trying to move in on Grissom's turf, or is this part of Joker's plan to give the business over to these guys like behind the scenes?
I think this is like a lot of this is that he might have known that like, oh, this is gonna this happens, they'll get a bit of press attention, and then I can spoilers for like what happens in the next 2 minutes, but it's more of him, and then I can theatrically kind of announce that I'm here. They'll be like, oh, this really boring thing about affidavits. It's happening.
It's a setup?
Yeah, and it's just more like, it's just getting all this boring gray pencil pushing stuff out of the way, and all of a sudden it's just like, nope, lands in like a sledgehammer. He's just like, here I am. It's like, it's a proper, he wants people to know that he's here. So I think, it could be that this was all, either he saw, like, he knew this was coming and he's like, I'll do it then. Or he deliberately went, I'll organize that they get all this stuff sent to them and they have to go to the courthouse to sign and all this kind of stuff. But I'm intrigued by what Knox is doing with this tape recorder. Because he's holding it up to his ear and it looks like his thumb's kind of going. Is he rewinding it back? Like, it's really like, it's like he's craning to listen into it.
I thought he was just listening back to something he'd recorded, maybe just for some notes. A bit like us with our notes. He's inventing podcasting on the fly.
Old Knoxy. I was just going to say, I wonder about this sort of whole setup. So, like, what kind of paperwork is involved with the transition of leadership for a gang, for illegal activities? Is there a lot of paperwork involved that you have to file? Like, I'm now the head gangster, or I'm taking over for this other guy? A little confused.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I presume he had some legitimate businesses, but yeah, everyone seems to know he's a gangster. So what's the point in doing all this? I don't know. It's a bit weird, especially in this world where everyone seems to be a crook.
Yeah. But it is a bit like, because we never find out. Like, there's a lot of this sort of, you fill in the blanks yourself kind of, it's boring, real life stuff. Like, when Access Chemicals was broken into, it's like, what are they breaking in to get? It's like papers or something that ties Grissom to some kind of illegal activity. It's like, well, who's Grissom? What's his deal? He's like some sort of legitimate businessman, and he's also a gangster. Like, it's all very sort of like, you don't need to know the details. It's just like, let's get the plot going, It's
Oh yeah, it's all very straightforward. Like, this guy's shady because of the way he's wearing his coat. Yeah. Basically, he's wearing it over his shoulders, draped over. Yeah. He hasn't got his arms in the sleeves. That's how you know in a film someone's a bit shady.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no upstanding citizen wears a coat like that.
No, I was going to ask if you'd ever done that yourself. I've done it once, and then I quickly went, "This isn't working for me. I can't pull this off. You need to be fat or Italian,
or both."
Yeah, I think
both.
I think it does need to be both. I think if it was a skinny Italian, I'd be like, nah, you're not working this. But then you pack on a couple of pounds, it's like, there you go, that's it, that's the stuff. But even not beyond him though, like the guys he has next to him, like he's got this guy behind him, over like to the left of the screen, who looks like really shifty because he's got the hat pulled down over the eyes. He's literally doing the old like, the eyes darting back and forth routine, just sort of like. Just making himself look as shifty as possible. And then they've got, I'm assuming on this other side is his lawyer, who just looks like the most snarky. He just has one of those, like, his face has been stung by a bee, kind of like real, like, he's had to, trying to find like a polite way to say this so we don't have to censor it, but it looks like he's, had to lick off a nettle. It's just like this real, like, kind of look in his face.
That is the perfect way of putting that.
Yeah. But I don't know if, so we'll have to censor that, but then it'll be like, he'll have to, like, he had to lick beep off a nettle. That's going to be people going, what the hell did he think?
That'd be funny.
Yeah, it kind of improves it more than anything. But yeah, we've seen this guy before. Vinny Ricorso, he was in the room, and Ratelli got, I was going to say got iced, but he literally got the opposite of ice.
Yeah,
he got
the
like,
opposite,
burnt
to. So I wonder about this because he knows what happened to Ratelli, to Antoine. I would think after that you wouldn't, there might be some hesitation in terms of stepping up, and kind of filling the void by Grissom's exit or absence. Seeing what happened to the last guy who piped up. But I mean, I guess you don't get high up in the ranks of gangsterism for kind of keeping in your place and keeping your head down. So.
Yeah.
That's true, because I thought the same thing. I was thinking, like, the Joker made quite Jack. He was playing Jack again, wasn't he? There, he made quite a public, in the world of gangsters, statement that I am the boss.
Yeah.
And then these guys have come out going, we're the boss.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd think instantly that's going to cause friction, which it does.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It does. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's again like I think I'm more like it's tough guys being tough as well. It's like, oh, he burned someone alive in front of us. Whatever. You think I'm scared of him? This I think there's a lot of that machismo is kind of going on here as well. Of just like, I'm not gonna let this guy rattle me. And we did see them like in the room when the Vitelli happened. Like we were joking about because there was no reaction from anyone. They were just sort of like, oh yeah. So you burnt a guy, you electrocuted him to death. Like it's just.
Well, for all I know, that's a traditional gangster method. Yeah. Like, that could be normal. It's not in The Godfather, but,
Yeah, Ricorso was the only one who was just like, you're crazy. But it was even more like, as if someone said, the Joker was like, hey, I'm going to put some ice in my coffee. And he's just like, you're crazy. Like, it was not all that crazy. Like, it'd be very subdued about the whole thing. But anyway, I sort of throw in some... Ricorso facts, because I've got some.
Ooh, okay.
I got deets on this guy. Well, not on Ricorso because he doesn't go beyond what we see of him here. There's not much details about him, but
I know. I tried to get something on him, and it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, I would have just literally been like describing to you what he does in this movie, and that's it.
I think the only additional note they had was like, oh, in the novelization, he's called like Vinny Ricotta or something. They've just changed his name or something.
Should be Richard Cheese.
Yeah, this actor though is John Dare. You call him Dair. He's a Scottish guy, like not again because it's filmed up over in England, so it's like, well, yeah, it's loads of British actors popping up in the bit parts.
Let me guess, he was in Doctor Who, like every single.
No, so shockingly, he wasn't in Doctor Who. He was in The Bill, which is the other.
That's the other show.
He was in Filthy Rich and Cat Flap, which was the other show that Aid Edmondson and Rick Mayall did, because they did, obviously, The Young Ones, and then they did Bottom years later. But there was another show they made in the 80s. It's sort of forgotten. And he was in that. He was in the 80s TV show of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, I am listening to the audiobook of that because, believe it or not, I have never read it or anything.
I don't remember. I read the first book, and I remember liking it, but I didn't like it enough to be like, I need to go through all of these. It was just sort of like, yeah, it was okay. It was an easy read,
Have you read them, Sean? Are they good? Are they all good?
Yeah, I thought they were very good. I've read, I think, all 5 of the books in the trilogy there by Douglas Adams. Yeah.
I'll check out the others then, because this one's good. I'm near the end, and it's read by Stephen Fry, so that's a good voice.
He'd be perfect for that. That seems like that's ideal casting for that, actually. But yeah, John there as well. The only other thing he's in of note is in Porridge, which is like a classic British sitcom that like a lot of Americans or people outside of the UK probably wouldn't know what Porridge is, but it's one of the big ones from the 70s. And then he was in Loch Ness with Ted Danson, which is just
that one.
It's like, he himself, he was also in Loch Ness, the loch, like he
was just in there bathing.
Those pictures of Nessie, that's actually John Dare just out for like went and took a dip one day.
That was him doing his calendar, his summer calendar shoot that he released every year for about 10 years running. That's right, isn't it?
But because I looked at the list of his credits, and then I've seen. I was like, who was he in Porridge? And I looked it up, and the character he plays in Porridge seems to be silent in the clips I've seen. Because I'm intrigued now that he's Scottish, because this voice is doing this whole like, take it over from Grissom until he returns. Like he's really, I can't imagine him doing a Scottish, I can't imagine him having a Scottish accent as his original voice. So I'm like, what? I need to hear this guy. But
I mean, there is always the possibility he's, someone else has done his voice. It's been overdubbed later on. Because that's quite a common practice when you're filming in the UK, but you're not setting it in the UK. Yeah. Just replace the voices. No one will care.
Just like you do with this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Niall's not actually been on any of the episodes. I just swap him out.
Yeah. So there were a couple other things that I pulled out as interesting from Johnny's IMDb listing. One is Yellowbeard, where he was Big John in that the Yellowbeard film, and then another TV series which I imagine is a thing over in the UK which I hadn't heard of, the Ondine Line.
Oh, I've never heard of that myself.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen.
Well, I pull that out just because of the character that Dare played. He played a character, Queen Neptune.
Well, I've Googled it very quickly, and it appears that he is playing a man.
It's called Queen Neptune.
Well, unless Google is steering me wrong, which is entirely possible, let's be honest.
As they do.
And none of us have any experience with this show, so it seems to be about boats. It could be something to do with a boat.
Oh, maybe he was the captain of the Queen Neptune, and then they just chose to identify him as that way. So again, that would tie into Yellowbeard, because I haven't seen yet. Yellowbeard is like, I've seen the name, and it's just, for some reason, when Sean said it, it's like, oh, that's the thing with, is it Eric Idle, or not Eric Idle, Graham Chapman's in that, isn't he? Or
Yes, yeah. Graham Chapman and Peter Cook, Peter Boyle, Tommy Chong, bunch of people. There's a lot of people in that movie. Yeah.
So I think I saw it when I was a kid, and it's one of those things that's just been, it faded into memory, and even as I said, when I saw it written, I was like, didn't think anything of it, but then when you said the words, it's like, oh, I know Yellowbeard, yeah. It's like, it's some reason it surged back up from the nether regions of of the long forgotten things I saw when I was 5 or whatever. So, but yeah, then we get a bit of a chit chat here, and Bruce makes his way past a young girl. I guess we'll talk about her more in the next, because she's one of the most notable extras in the whole film. We'll talk about her next minute. Yeah, and then we get again, it's one of the few I think like the good lines from Knox that occasionally.
One of the few good lines. Come on, he's full of good
Old
lines.
Knoxy.
Well, yeah, what's your stance on Knox? Because I've kind of come to love him throughout doing this show, and Niall still just hates him.
I'm quite fond of Knox. Yeah.
Yes.
He's, a little bit of the comic relief, a bit of the lighter side. I can see how that might, if you just want to get right to the nitty gritty of the crime and the Batman stuff, you may feel he's getting in the way of that sort of thing. But I like a little levity to offset the darkness that comes later.
Yeah.
I like old Knoxy.
Ah, good. Because, I mean, he's a bit of a jerk, sure, but his heart's in the right place.
He's just after the story.
Yeah. As I said, I do like this line here, though, because he's leading them as well. It's like he's had this joke prepared since before he got here. He's had this for any occasion. He says, "Oh, the next time I talk to a gangster, I'm gonna ask him this." So he has this whole what's it say? I'm like, "Oh, so you must have been pretty close, huh? Close. Do you do a little time together as children?" And then all the other journalists are all like, "Oh, Knox, you kill it." It's like, yeah, I thought all the other journalists laughed at Knox, not laughed at him in this way, but they laughed at him as in "Oh, it's I have the crazy Batman stories," but now they love him. It's he's.
Right, that is my last note on my list here. I've got, why the hell do all the other reporters find this amusing in the slightest? I'm the opposite of you, Niall. I didn't find this funny. It's barely a joke.
I thought it was one of his. I thought that was some of his class A material right there.
Yeah. That's why he's got the little recorder. He's not recording the interview with the gangster. This is for his reel, for his when he tries out for comedy. His stand-up routine.
That's what he was listening to on the thing. He was going over all his material from his stand-up the night before. He's like, "Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll say that to him." Yeah.
Maybe we should be doing that. We need to take tips from him.
Yeah. You should be recording these. Absolutely. Yeah.
I know that would be helpful, wouldn't it? God.
I mean, when we actually record the episode after this, it's going to be. I don't know if we're going to have the same spontaneity of if we had just recorded what we're saying right now. But
it'll be honed to perfection.
Yeah, but in terms of we get that little bit, and then we get a little split second of Vicki approaching the courthouse herself as well. Still in pursuit of Bruce, or she just wandered over because hey, people are here, or what's not sure exactly what she's doing there, but that's all the notes of, because it's a shot 30 minutes. It's we've not got a little more stuff to say.
So, Sean, since we have the time today, we can go into it if you like. Your history with Batman and your views on the movie and the franchise as a whole, if you want.
Sure. Well, I'm aware of Batman, as many people are. I was never big into the comics. I was more of a Marvel person. I did go through a phase where I was deeply into the comic books, but it was Daredevil and Doctor Strange were my main series that I followed. Oh, but this was around the time of Frank Miller's Dark Knight. So I did have those books when they first came out, so I'm familiar with that story, and then of course familiar with the 60s television series and all the other sort of hard to be involved with pop culture and not have some awareness of Batman.
Whether you want to or not.
Yes. Yeah, he's out there. Now, with this particular movie, I didn't see it for a long time. I don't know if I don't remember seeing it in the theater. I may have just seen it once it hit sort of home video in the late 80s. And I wasn't much of a fan at first, and particularly after having not seen it for a while and some of the other things that Michael Keaton was involved with. I didn't remember it fondly, and I actually made...
Oh, no.
But I think it's probably about 5 years ago now, I'm like, well, you know what? I've been knocking this movie for so long. let me check my memory. Let me go back and give it a watch and see if it checks out. And I was wrong. I take back all the negative things I said about this movie, and particularly about Michael Keaton. I think he does a great job. This is now I haven't gone through and ranked them all, but if I did, this would be near the top. This is one of my favorite Batman movies. Certainly. Yeah, and I think so there's the Michael Keaton as Batman, and I think you guys have mentioned that he is one of the better Bruce Waynes. That's part of the character as well. It's not just, he's not just playing Batman. He's got to play Bruce Wayne as well, and he does an excellent job there. And then also on the Joker side, you had the new Joker, again, kind of overshadowed a lot of what had come before in the movies. And it was easy, with the fog of memory and separation of decades, to just write it off as, it's Saucy Jack being Jack and stuff. But going back and looking at it with a critical eye, I do think the performance stands up well with other Jokers.
But like, were you wrapped up? Do you think any of your coloring of the film, and you didn't like it, was it because of the Batmania that had gripped the world in '89, and you were just like, oh, the hell with this? It was like one of those kind of like the things that that a lot of teenagers do. I did it when I was a teenager. Of like, if something's popular, the hell with it. Like, I don't like it because it's popular. And like, do you think of that in any way colored it? Or you just more like, no, I just genuinely didn't like it the first time around?
I think that may have been part of it. Certainly, there was a period where Batman was everywhere in the music, in fashion, in pop culture. Yeah, the merchandising and everything else for the movie. It was the hard sell. They wanted to make sure there was no one on the planet that did not know there was a Batman movie. So, and then I was right about that. I was in my late teens. I would have been a rebellious youngster at that age. Sure, that could have played part of it. Yeah.
Well, that happened to me with, unfortunately, I love it now, but when Lord of the Rings came out, I was like, I'm not getting into that. That's stupid, because it was the biggest thing on the planet at the time. Yeah. I avoided it for a good sort of 6 years. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, wait, no, it's brilliant.
But, yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. Unless there's you got the floor now, Sean. Is there anything else you want to, like, would you rank this as like, you say this would be up near the top of your Batman films, but do you think like it's the best iteration, or would you prefer like, no, I think that the Nolan films are actually stand better, or are you like George Clooney was amazing? Like, I thought that was.
I think it might be tough between this and The Dark Knight. Those are probably the two top. I'm not sure if I could kind of split those hairs, but 1-2 or 2-1, either way. But this, I think I would put this, the 1989 Batman above, above Dark Knight Rises, and at least two of those Nolan films.
Yeah,
but maybe not all three.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we like to hear. Absolutely.
But yeah, certainly I would put it way above the Val Kilmer and George Clooney Batmans, and not necessarily placing blame or anything on those particular actors, just using those names to designate the movies. It's a group effort, and if it's not good, I'm sure there's blame to go around.
Yeah,
to everyone.
Yeah. But you have no opinion on the current Batfleck, or have you not dipped your toe into that that pool just yet?
I'm not a fan of the current iteration of the DC cinematic universe. I did enjoy Wonder Woman, but the Batman versus Superman. And maybe it's one of those things, maybe in 3 decades I'll go back and watch it and it'll be great, and I'll wonder, why was I poo-pooing this thing all this time? but I doubt it. Yeah. I think I think there was so much else wrong with the movie. I haven't even gotten around to criticizing or analyzing Affleck's role in that movie, just because there's so much else wrong with it that it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right. I want to see a Sam Rockwell Batman. That's what I'm holding out for someday, maybe.
I don't know, because Sam Rockwell's got those very distinctive teeth, though. I think if you had him in the cowl, it'd be like, oh, that's Bruce Wayne. It's like I've seen that smile before.
Maybe he could put in like fake teeth when he dons the cowl.
He'd have bat teeth put in there. Yeah.
Ah, yes, we're onto something.
But yeah, that's me for this minute. Unless anyone wants anything else they want to chuck in.
Yeah, I'm cleaned out of notes.
Do we want to, before we move on, talk about Vicki Vale's hat, or do we want to save that for tomorrow?
We did talk about Vicki Vale's hat, but if you want to throw in an opinion,
well, no, as long as it's been covered. And I just, other than to say it's ridiculous.
Yes, so that does it for minute 46 of Bat Minute 89, and we will be back again on Wednesday with minute 47, and you can get more of Vicki and a lovely hat. Oh, that'll be exciting stuff. Before we go, Sean, have you got anything you'd like to promote or plug or whatever you say in the biz these days?
Well, sure. As the gentleman mentioned earlier, I was involved with a thing called Spinal Tap Minute that we wrapped up earlier in the summer of 2017. But those episodes are still available online if you look for them at spinaltapminute.com and other places where finer podcasts are downloaded. And then coming up, I have a little thing we're calling National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation Days, where we're doing a similar movie analysis type thing, but rather than breaking the movie into minutes, we're breaking it up into days. As the days pass for the characters in the film, leading up to this Christmas. So that'll be out this coming holiday season, December, for the folks in the Northern Hemisphere. So check that out and look for that coming up. It's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation Days.
That sounds great. Yeah, we'll be tuning into that, definitely. And everyone listening, make sure you tune in to us again on Wednesday for minute 47 of Bat Minute 89.
Next time, miming and criming. As Vicki wonders and Wayne wanders, it seems quiet mimics are the Joker's latest gimmick. Silence may be golden for now, but will Gotham soon be left screaming with laughter or terror? Find out next time, same Bat Pod.
Different Bat Minute.